Comrades, I am Admiral Andre, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Today we're adding the next segment to our Mir space station, the Kvant 1, which goes towards the back of the core module. I've already sent a crew up there to the core module with our Soyuz that we built, so we'll just have to move that out of the way when we get there. But as always, let's just first get into the Google images and Wikipedias and all of that, so we just get our bearings again. I'll just add here, for some reason, the previous save, the other one that I used for all our moon missions and all of that, is corrupt for some reason. No clue what happened there, but of course all our craft are still secure, so I'll just move them over here. We don't need all of them right now. But I'll just make backups of this one because we can't let that happen here. So anyway, let's get into it, comrades. Right, comrades, so let's see what we can learn about the Kvant 1 here. As they say here, it was of course the first module to be attached in 1987 to the Mir core module, and it remained attached for the entire duration of the space station's lifetime. Let's see, the Kvant module contains scientific instruments for astrophysical observations and material science experiments, so it's a very scientific orientated module. It was used to conduct research into the physics of active galaxies, quasars and neutron stars, and it was uniquely positioned for studies of supernova there, antiviral preparations and so on. So we might put some scientific experiment parts onto this for some extra flavor. The module was also the first, was based on the TKS spacecraft, and somewhere I saw it actually used a specific tug to take it to the station, so we'll be building that as well and then using it to dock the Kvant to the station. Of course, we can use that later as well. Now, here's just again the thing. I'm going to write this down. Let me just get a piece of paper somewhere, the length and the diameter here. So this will be useful again for just judging the scale. So it is 5.3 and 435. So some math is called for. Mass is 11 tons and so on, but that of course doesn't really matter for us. So yes, what else can we see here? There's a few nice images of this module. There's the Kvant attached to the tug as well. So I can't see where the engines are on that tug though, so I'll have to use some creative license. But here is the Kvant image. So let's have a look at that. Now this is of course a photograph, so you can see a lot of details here that we will not be able to replicate. But it certainly does look like there's a lens right there for another telescope like we had on the Salute station. The aft looks like it has 8 sides there, and then various little things sticking out there. I guess we can use that for our scientific equipment. And I have no idea what these parts are. And then also I'll have to create another docking port on the one side where we will later attach that girder arm. I think that will be a nice touch there. So here is now another image showing a cutaway segment, and we can see there is a person working on some sensors there, but there is a Glazar telescope, so there is indeed another one like that. So that is more towards the front of the module, if that's now the one that we're seeing there. I'm wondering, could be on the other side, because this sits more in the middle of this section, which is more here. Oh well, I suppose that's the photo measuring system. But we'll be putting, hopefully if we can fit a telescope in here, we'll be doing that. Then there is the Gyrodyne segment. This is of course what was used then to save fuel for changing the attitude of the station. So reaction wheels, we might put a small one in here to also help us with that. There's a magnetometer, so we do have some scientific equipment here. Probes, various radars, igla antennas, so I'll be putting one facing the back and one facing the front. This will be those small extendable antennas. These iglas and so on, I'll just use a few of the extendable single antennas, Communitron 16s, and I think that's really all I want to see here. Now here's the tug thing again, where I can't see the engine because it comes to a point there. So something of this nature, meaning therefore that we have the Kvant here. Of course it still has a little back part with the 8 sides here. Then we'll use a fairing to cover that, and then have the rest of it with solar panels. I think that'll look nice. So here we also see that same thing, and let's just see, this is more information here on the historicspacecraft.com website. So Kvant 1, the tug was detached and discarded, of course, afterwards, and that cleared the rear docking port, and that was for the Soyuz and the Progress. So that's very useful for us. Then there's the gyrodynes for attitude control. That was to gyroscopically control the attitude without using fuel. So a reaction wheel, of course a weak one, but I think therefore it is very much legitimate for us to put one on there. It also was outfitted with astronomy instrumentation, X-ray, ultraviolet and all of the like, and later on 2 experimental truss structures were added onto the module. And as far as I could see somewhere here, that was a test for the Mir 2 space station to see sort of the building techniques there. That was not a docking arm. So very interesting. Now this one shows that very clearly there we have 2 segments there, a shorter one, so that could be one of the I-beams possibly, and a very long girder segment, and that's on sort of a flat platform there. So I will put a docking port, probably a junior one, underneath there in the middle of that round section there on the top, and then later on we'll dock this, including the platform, onto that somehow. No clue yet. Then let's see, what else could we learn? There's the 8 sides on the back, very clear. The central round segment and the forward adapter segment with the docking mechanism there. Various antennas and so on, one on each side and one on the top, and then of course on the back as well. Kerbal equivalent, again, we know there's always going to be one. So there we see it again. So many things on here. We'll obviously have some creative license again. Let's just see, is there anything more that we can see here? I think it's a very straightforward module. There's even a t-shirt. Good grief. So yes, we'll see what we can do, comrades. I guess the very last thing we'll put onto the station will be either the truss or the space shuttle docking mechanism. So we won't worry about the truss thing right now. There's the Kvant again. Same thing, just with color. And I think that is that. Let's just go back to this one here. So that shows the back again, looking as if there's sort of various experiments and so on there. Alright, comrades, let's get into it and see what we can do. Okay, comrades, so it's time to begin our construction here. However, I'm thinking here, because we don't need another probe core on the Kvant itself, so let's put one down for that tug module and then build the Kvant on top of that. I suppose that will be a good way. Let's just have a look. I just want to go back again to the image of that tug there. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So that's one diameter narrower, so I guess that's the 1875. So let's put some of that here. Now in that case, let's use some of these smaller tanks. Again, I won't put too much thought into this part of it. Let's just see. Now we have sort of this narrowing towards the bottom, but I have no idea how they have an engine there. Maybe we'll just put one on the very end. I suppose that will work. It's again my variant of it. That's not going to be very powerful though. What about something a bit bigger? I suppose they must have had radial engines on it. Not sure. Anyway, this will do very nicely. Of course, this is our very efficient friend, the Terrier Engine. Let's just move that in. It's now showing there. Like, oh no, I don't like that. Yes, like that. Okay, so that's the bottom of it. Now, of course, they have solar panels on the sides here. Now, I'm not thinking it's going to be necessary to put the big solar panels on this. Then we have the issues of the spacing and all of that again. So let's just use the very cheap 2x3s. After all, we're going to dump this craft, and then we don't want to spend too much money and resources on it. So also we need some monopropellant. So let me just go back to the thing. Now they've got these sort of things on the side. I have no idea what those are. Maybe that's where the engines are. Not sure. But I'm just going to put a normal fuel tank on here. Of course, the right size. That one. And batteries. We also need batteries. Maybe we can do that underneath here. Then we'll put the batteries on the top there. Doesn't have to be too much power again. We can use the Z1K with 1000 power. The bigger one is not necessary. Again, this is all resources that we're going to waste. So beyond that we have a sort of, I guess that's the bigger fairing base. The 2.5 meter one. We could even then move this into that, since the fairing base itself is empty. It's not doing anything there. It's just an attachment point. And then even a bit further. Let me just have a look here again. Now it shows on the top. Well, no. No. Get rid of the battery there and put this on and move it to the point where I'm happy with it. You see, this thing has like this edge on the top of the tank, but I don't want that showing. So the base must be exactly where that merges. I think that will be decent. Okay, so now instead of then having those big batteries, we'll have some of the smaller ones. Again, we don't need that much. So we can put this in the space now. All I need is to actually be able to see what I'm doing there. Let's just move the whole thing down a bit. And we can put them sideways, I think. 4 of them. There we go. That'll give us more than enough power. The real thing here is, of course, we're going to need a lot of RCS ports. We don't see it on this tug thing, but I absolutely need it just for practicality. Anyway, now with this here, let's build upwards first and get the Kvant 1 in place. So first of all, we need the docking port on the back. Now it's a bit weird building from the back forward, but we can do it. Let me just see now, where is the back part? So this, where was a good diagram of that? I saw it somewhere. Just want to see how far out it sticks on the back. A little bit actually. There's almost like a very small adapter there. I would say possibly one of these, but of course that's not the right size. Let's just figure out how we're going to build this 8-sided thing here. Now that's narrower again, so let's use the smallest of the 1875 diameter, but you see that goes sort of in there. Maybe an engine plate is not going to be appropriate because it will give added length. Oh, and of course the whole length issue. No, this will not do. We're going to have to put this into a sub-assembly again. So in this case I will put a thing here. Do we have to do that? I suppose so. I don't know. I don't want that same problem that we had with the sub-assembly before. So yes, put something here. Now I want to reroute the... Where's the core now again? This thing. up to the docking port, and then we take everything beneath that active part. That means it will be looking for a new active part. That's what I didn't do with our Proton K before. So this is our basic tug. I'm not going to finish it now, we'll finish it later. Let's just say new again and go to the space plane hangar. For some reason I like it more to build the modules, don't know why. So we will need a very small probe core just to get the thing started. Now we use the Clampetron again, and then we have a section for an adapter. But now this is going to be very interesting because the only real adapter that we have is this one. No, could be this one. You see, this is not quite at the right angle, it's too flat. But this other one is too sharp an angle again. So how do we solve that problem now? You see, this would have been great, but it doesn't go all the way now. We could move that in there, but how's that going to look? Let's just empty this out. Just try some experiments here. You see, it would have to meet there. No, that's not quite right. What could we use here? A nice adapter. This is the one I would have used previously, because obviously we didn't have all the making history parts. But since we have them now, is there nothing I can do with them? The only... No, that's too long again. That's the one that goes from the 875 meter to 2.5 meter, but this is so long. No. And if I just go back to the image of the station and the Kvant together, they are the same diameter about. Let me just have a look. Diameter was previously 4.15 for the mere core module. It's now 4.35, so it's a little wider actually, but obviously we don't have that many fine parts to add a few more centimeters, but we still have those antennas and things anyway. So now, actually, let me do the math on this first. I'm going to go according to what they say here, the 435 and the 5.3, and then just see what we end up with. Okay, so given that we have our diameter of 2.5 meters, of course that can change with some antennas and so on, but let's use that as the main diameter. Then that gives us the scale, which is about 57.5% the size of the real thing, and then apply that to the length of 5.3 meters gives us 3.04 meters, or for practical purposes 3 meters. So we know this thing is supposed to be 3 meters long, which is very interesting because it's already 1.3 meters long. So I think we might have to go with this adapter for practical purposes again. Now beyond that, we are not going to put a hitchhiker here. That almost gives us our full length here, but we still need to have that back part there. If I just go to the diagrams and so on again, let me find a good one. Now it's difficult to judge from here, but let me just try. This is on an angle again. So that back part with the 8 sides is about 3/4 the size of the middle part here. So we can't obviously add another 3/4 of this to the length. So let's go for fuel tanks again. 2 meter parts, 2.5 meter parts. Of course, color options are not that plentiful for these parts. What is the actual color of this thing? It's white and orange, kind of. Interesting. Now, of course, we don't have that option. It's only on the 1875 parts where we get the orange and grey like this. This would have been the ideal color scheme there. Oh well. Let me just have a look here. What if I use this but orange? No, that's going to be too orange. And now we don't have a white one to set that off. And that looks kind of weird. That gives us again 2.6 meters, so we still have a little bit. I don't know. We don't have many options here, that's the thing. That looks awful. Is that the same length as a hitchhiker container? I kind of doubt it. No, it's slightly shorter. Okay. What if we make the whole thing orange? No, that looks awful. What else is 2.5 meters? We saw previously the RCS fuel tank was the right diameter, that's why we used it. This is white and yellow. What if we use this and then just white and orange? That could work. This gives us 2.8 meters now. Although we can still shorten that by moving the docking port in a little like we did before. Now I don't want that ugly grey background there to show, so I'll make sure that we just cover that. Like that, so that buys us nothing really. What about moving these together slightly? No, then we get the clipping. Okay, well, let's give this a go though. Of course we have to empty all of this out. And then let's see what goes to the back here then. I am supposing a plate perhaps. This would probably be too small, yes. And this we need to move in. Of course the length here again now is not reliable because it's counting the whole length to that attachment point. So like this it's still wrong because it's still counting that. So we're not going to get an accurate reading off of this. Even if I say disable staging, no, it's not going to help. Okay, well, my idea is anyway to move this into that if we can. Oh no, awful. It's a real pity though. So it will have to be like this. That's too much length there. Unless we take a bit of creative license again. So that's 2.8. That only gives us 20 centimeters, which is not enough. But I can't get something that's less diameter than that. Or could I? Let's just have a look here. What about these tubes? That's less diameter. Actually, yes, let's use that. That's the white on the front and the yellow/orange on the back. I just want to move them closer. I don't want to see that black line there. They must look like they're one structure. There we go. And this gives us 4.5. How is that possible? That's impossible. How can it be more? This thing is very flawed. Is there anywhere else that we could see the length here? How can it have half the length of that and yet be longer? Let's see, it's not even changing. Okay, never mind. So we're ignoring the length now. We'll just judge as we saw now. So with the addition of the engine plate on the back, that gives us, I think, the right length there. So ignore this now. It's not going to tell us what we want to see. Now, we need I guess the thinnest fuel tank of the 1875 meter diameter. This could be the grey. I think that will work, but we won't see it anyway. Of course, we take all the fuel out here. Then we're going to use the plates, the structural panels. Now, how on earth are we going to make this work? That's not going to work. That's too short. I need something that's wider but not longer. Oh dear. Let me have a look at this. Of course, this is not going to work out now. Unless we ignore this thing completely and just make these things fit together. Now, I can't snap because the snapping is only up there, but let's move it down then. Let's try. This thing is gonna need a bit of work here. Maybe a bit more down. Even more. Okay, well, this is kind of promising. I guess we're getting somewhere. It's probably a better idea than trying to build it around the tank. But now getting this thing aligned properly is the other story. A little bit further. Well, let's see what we can do with that. This kind of does look nice, but now we need to end this thing off here on the back. And how on earth are we going to do that? What's the diameter of this anyway? Engine plate is probably not going to work here. Is this the smallest one? Yes. It's too wide. Can't even move it far enough, but it's definitely too wide. So I suppose we'll just have to build it out with more panels. If I can snap to that, 4 times symmetry. The problem is if you do 4 times symmetry of panels, they always give you that flashing overlap. Yep. That's not what I want. You see, it's got this awful clipping. That's only if you do it in 4 times symmetry. Or 2 times, or whatever the case might be. But they overlap. If you do it in sets that are not bound to each other, you won't get that. So how do I do this? Am I going to have to do this one by one now? Well, let's see. Now, getting them to meet, well, we don't have to worry because the outside edge will tell us how far they need to go. Like that. Like that. Oh, they still do that, but there's a solution, which you can't do if they're bound together in symmetry. Almost. Now what I want to do is I want to move them in, because this just adds too much length to the back anyway. So I think if we move them in like that, and do that with all of them, and then just slightly change the heights there of the different parts, they won't give us that clashing graphics thing there. Yeah, something like that. You see, just slightly different heights. I think this is going to look very nice when we're done with it. I'm very hopeful. Then we still, obviously this part's going to be covered up by a docking port, which we will need to build by adding first of all the reaction wheel. I know the reaction stuff, the gyrodynes were on the top or on one of the sides, but for us that doesn't really matter. So I'm going to use an advanced inline stabilizer. I know this is probably too strong, but we need it here just to give us an attachment point for the docking port. So in that case, we can always tweak it. So let's give it 20% wheel authority. Then hopefully that will give us enough length to attach the port there, although we can put a battery in here as well. Having more power for our experiments is never a bad idea. There we go, now we're almost there. So in this case we just have to complete the puzzle by, oh dear, now this is going to be a thing. There's so many attachment points, it gets very tough to see here. So we'll have to tweak that. And they won't attach like this. Then the color here as well. I'll just have to see what I can do about that. Okay, that's just roughly the right thing. Now at the back, can I see it's just like a dark grey? Where's that photograph again? Yeah, so the front is like white, then we have this orange band, and then we have this darker color. So I'm thinking possibly the dark one. Possibly, but we can look at that in a moment. Just want to fix this now. So that's the thing, there's no easy builds in KSP. But that's the good thing as well, because everything is challenging if you want to build it nicely. How's that? A bit more up. And that doesn't look right there. Very difficult. But okay, I think that's more or less right. This one is sticking out a bit too much though. It can go like that. Luckily again, all this strange patterns here in the back will be covered up partly by a docking port, and it's also, I think, not quite as obvious if we use the dark color. Good, yes, that will work. Now let's put the docking port back. So, so many clamp attachment points, but that's the right one. Now if I have a look again at the side diagram, how far does this protrude from the back? That's where I said earlier it does look like it has a bit of an angle there, so I'm not going to push this in all the way like I did before. Just like that, so it still has a little bit of an angle there, and then we get the port on the back for our Soyuz and Progress craft. Now this again is 6.3 meters, it's a lie anyway, plus we do have a little bit of extra width, 2.7 meters for some reason, instead of 2.5, so I think it's okay. Now however we have to save this first before something happens, so Kvant 1, because there's a Kvant 2, so save that. Now this is all empty of course. This is not staged. No, it's not staged. So let's say this is the bottom. Can we put another telescope in here? But can we put a crew thing in here? That's a bigger thing. I'm tempted to use the Mark 1 lander cans. just one maybe. I doubt we'll need more than that. Just one scientist in the back here doing observations, but then again, to make it balanced, we might as well put 2 in, but then they'll overlap. Plus, that'll give us that kind of window telescope effect that we saw. But where's the telescope? Now, this is, of course, again, the mod that I have, the hull cam, so we will not use that. The Sentinel. Now, the Sentinel... how much does this weigh? 100 kilos, so it will offset our mass a little bit. But it could work, so let's use another strut here. Attach that to that, and then... because if you're going to have an observatory, you might as well have a good one. So let's move this into the strut a little bit, just so we don't have this thing sticking out here. Let's just see if this works first. Very obvious telescope there, but it works, it can work. How far can we actually take it? Quite far. So it'll be on the front part here, which I think works. It's most appropriate. Okay, that can work. This is all part of the optical telescope's astronomy observation equipment. Of course, it didn't stick out this obviously, but if I move it back, then the lens is going to go inside as well. Then it's just a weird pipe sticking out there. Unless we use one of these with the windows. Not sure. What does this weigh again? 600 kilos. So that's going to offset the mass even more. And then we have windows on the top, which I don't want. If I put another one on the bottom here, they're going to overlap with each other. Which I don't necessarily want. Definitely not that far. Although that doesn't look terrible. I'm just wondering, is this what we would want? This would definitely be a Kerbal modification. Otherwise we'll have no crew in this module. Now, how do we solve this problem? Not sure. Let's go back to the thing again. So we know from where the antennas are that this is on the bottom. Then that thing is going to have to be on the top, that platform thing there. So that will have to be, I guess, roughly in the middle here. So we might as well start anticipating that as well. So a junior port, roughly in the middle here, I think. Now, where is the middle on this segment? It's very difficult to judge, but I suppose like that. Then eventually we'll put a platform up there with another docking port, and then that will have those girder segments. So let's move this in a bit though. I could even do it like that, because this is not a crew transfer port. This is just to attach a piece of equipment to, because if it sticks out too far, then there's going to be a huge gap between the platform and the Kvant module, which is not supposed to be the case. It's supposed to sit about there, just flat on top of this thing. So I think I'll leave it like that. Hopefully that's it's just a ring to attach something to. It's not an actual person port there. Now, in the case of this, though, I'm not sure. We'll come back to that. Let's just have a look at the various pieces of equipment. So there's magnetometers and Kerr's rendezvous radar systems. All of that we don't need, of course. But let's just put some science on the back here. Now, where do I put this? Just various places, I suppose. Turn this off now. Yes, why not? It looks like it's part of the equipment here, you know. Then we'll put another one. Let's not make it all the same, you know, all uniform. Let's put one here, sort of pointing outward to collect samples or who knows what. Let's put a... Actually, the telescope thing is on the back here, not the front. Now I'm seeing that. Okay, well, ignore this for now. Just go back and take that thing out there then. This is also, I think, why I like working in the VAB for the modules more now, because we have so much more visual freedom with the camera. Can we do that? It's gonna be difficult. I'll try. It sticks out on the top then. And on the back there where the port is. No, that will not work. This I could kind of live with still, but not really. No, we're not going to do this. I don't think this is appropriate. Instead, I'm going to put the lander can on, because we saw in that photograph of the Kvant, there is definitely something there. It's like a window with a lens cap thing on the middle of this. So we're going to use that for our crew module. Just so someone can be working in the back here. And do I do it like this or the other way around? That does not really matter, I suppose. Let's do it like this. I know it's offset now, but luckily we do have the... Oh, it's not going further forward. We do have the reaction wheel, which is very useful. Okay, now let's play with it like that. We don't need a flag here. Then just go back up with this thing, turn the snapping off. Don't know if we want this forward window showing there, or just the big one, this little one here. You know, I think I might put it on because this doesn't look bad. This, if we have it like flat, then we'll still be able to see out of that little bit there, but it's not going to look as nice. Like that. I know, it's not the real thing now again. But it's the only way I think I can make it a nice crude module that's part of the Kvant here. And we can still do our astronomy observations through that window. Now what could we put here to simulate a telescope? Doesn't have to be a real one, of course. Something around... Well... The one obvious answer is this, but that looks more like hell instead of a telescope. We don't need to do this. Just thinking, you know, for extra credit. What if we use a light here? I'm not going to put lights on this thing. The lights are just on the main module for the other ones. So then in this case I'll turn all the lights down so it doesn't actually burn if we turn on the lights. It could work. Pretend. This is a telescope. That could work. So that's like an observation telescope thing there on the back. Yes, I think so. If we look back at the photograph, I can clearly see that there is a telescope back there, but its lens cap is on, or the hatch thing is on. But on that diagram, I was just looking at it from the wrong side. But there's definitely the Glazar telescope is on that sort of octagonal sided part of the Kvant. So yes, that'll do there, I guess. It actually has a bit of a protrusion there. It's almost like there's another thing here. But should I now bother with that? Why not? Why not? Let's make something nice. I want to keep this station for a long, long time. Now that's too long here. What could I take here? What if I just move it in? About like that, I would suppose. Now, keep it there, as long as it closes up there, which it seems to do. Just get more pieces here. This is going to look very nice, I think. Not bad, not a bad effort. Hopefully. I love that they gave us these new parts. The Making History expansion is so worth it. Even if you don't really do the missions, you can still have a lot more freedom with your constructions in Sandbox. And I have to say, I mostly play Sandbox. I very rarely do missions. Although I did create one of my own, but it wasn't really a great one. Like that. And then the telescope lens is on the bottom here. It's interpretation, you know. Now we could even, though this is not the real thing again, make this like a gold color to sort of give that kind of a telescope covering feel. This is again not the real thing, but I want to do that because I think it looks nice. Where's that color diagram that we saw before? That doesn't show the outside color of that thing. And it has more of a girder thing here. Oh, that's being built there. It's difficult to say. Even though there's a lot of photos here, they don't always have the details or show the right angles. You know, let's keep it like that. I like this, so that's my Admiral touch again. Now let's throw on some more science stuff here. Let's even use the experiment store. That's a bit big. What if I add it here and then just move it in so we can still read the stuff here? Magnets and paper clips and potatoes. Maybe we should flip it over. Duct tape, test tubes and mystery glue. Now, snapping off please. Now that's gonna look a bit strange. So again, that adds more texture, more feeling there. Okay, I like it. Let's take it. What's next? One of these, this could be like the magnetometer that they had. Put it here. It's gonna measure stuff. And what about a fluid thing? No, that's too big, I think. Could kinda work though. What does the real thing look like on the back? So we saw that photograph, they had so many things sticking out there. But I don't know, it wasn't something big like this. What if we move this more in? That could work. Gives it a nice interesting texture there. Yes. It's all part of the experiments. Okay, and what else? I think that will do probably. Thermometer is not really necessary here. Although we could throw it on. Why? No, let's leave it off. Let's be different here. Now, antennas. Now let's just have a look at those drawings again. So there's the big one on the front, on the top. Okay, save again, please. Communications, I'll use the high gain for that. Now, of course, it's not going to have to clash with the platform that we add later, so I think I'll leave it extended. Now it's not coming further. Okay, attached here, please. And I'll move you from there. Hopefully that doesn't interfere with the docking port. Just see where exactly. That isn't quite on the edge there. It's a little bit before it, so not on the edge. About there, I would say. Yes, why not? That'll do for the forward antenna. Now the back one, okay, of course they look different as well, not all the same, but there's another one on the back, right on the edge of this thing right there. So I'll use the same thing again. Of course, just have to move this forward now. Is that right? Sort of, and that'll do there, I think. Though it's a bit higher than the other one. But is that important? According to the diagram, they're about the same height. So I think this front one should come a bit further out. Now it's of course not going to want to. That's as far as I can take it, so we'll have to move this one in then. Okay, that could work. Then what else do we need? There is another antenna. Of course, we don't need all of these antennas. Just have a look through the images again. Okay, this diagram shows like two on the sides there. For that, we might as well use the fixed communitrons, two of them. Pointing out. Now it's too far. Does that look okay? Just have to move it a little bit back. I think they're too forward still. Okay, save again. Now I think for the sake of it, let's add another antenna on the back. One of the extendable ones maybe. Or should we add it on the front? Difficult to see what's an antenna and what's not one. Okay, there is definitely another antenna on the bottom here on the front. So let's put one here. Of course, it's not going to have to clash with a docking thing with a core module. And just move it back a bit. And I think that's all. We don't really need more antennas than that. That's already overkill. So yes, then of course later on we'll do all our docking here with the various resupply and recrew missions. But there is of course still another Igla antenna there, but it's such a small one. No, let's not bother with that. I am just going to save this. So we're pretty much done now with the Kvant 1. Later on, of course, let's just do a test. Then we'll put this up here, and of course the platform is going to be... This is all just very rough. It's not going to be that... What if we use this size, but then that thing is too forward? The antenna. The antenna is a problem. Let's move the antenna. Of course, then I have to move it down to hide the base, which means I have to move this one down as well. But it is still very tall. Okay. So, ish. Oh, good grief. It's very tough to say, because every time you change your perspective, it looks different again. But okay, that'll do. Then there's enough room for the base of the plate there. And our test is successful on that front. So save one last time, and now let's mate this thing to the tug. Of course, now this thing is going to have to be folded up. Again, a bit of imagination is required there. Then, let's see. So because of that now, we're going to need like a very weak docking thing, and then actually no, we don't need a docking thing, but it's better to have it. It'll just make it easier. Then a very small... Now, do we have RCS fuel on that tug? Well, this will add it. Don't want to hit that antenna though, so it has to be a small one. Then we add a couple of them, and then we'll cover this in the shroud. So I think it should work now to just add the sub-assembly right there and build this out. Just edit it a little. The force of this has to be very little. Although, no, I don't want this docking. This is not going to be a staged fairing. The thing is just going to pull away from it. Then, should we change the color of this at all? Oh, the black and white will do, even though we don't see it right now. The thing now is, so luckily we do have a bit of reaction wheel there, reaction control, but we're going to need the RCS now. So of course the panels will be there, so we put it on a 45-degree angle. This is near the middle. And of course, as the fuel gets burnt, it will move forward towards those RCS ports. So I think that's actually all that we need, to be honest. That's our very cheap tug there, with its undersized solar panels, but oh well. Yes, I think so. That's it, comrades. That's the Kvant 1. Now, of course, we have a Gyrodyne here that does not belong, so I need to reroute from there to the probe core in the tug. and then I can just remove that. Okay, so save last time, and now I'm gonna just take it over to the VAB and we will mate it with the Proton. Hopefully it will work out. Good. I'm afraid always, because I've had a few crashes there when I switch from the VAB to the, or Space Planner to the VAB. And let's just see, is this gonna work out nicely? I think instead of having a very big fairing over all of this, let's build a fairing that sits on the top here and then is ejected during the launch. So we'll use a small one again, just not to damage the antenna. Then we will also use this small RCS things, but we'll empty that just to give us that height there. And actually we could have gotten away with... Oh, undo. No! Okay, good. There we also see the black and white there now. It does look very weird. Oh well. I just wanted to move that away. It does clash a little, but I think that will be okay. Just don't want this thing to be too oversized. This is for sure an ugly craft, but it just has the purpose of taking the space station module to where it needs to go. So now we need another fairing. Just on top of this. Now of course it's not going to go to the very edge. That'll have to do. This thing is not staged, it's just going to kick off, and then we have another thing on the front. Nose cone type thing. Let's use the round one for this. And then just add some separatrons here. Could even use 4 of them at a slight angle. Then we can kick the nose cone away when we are ready. Okay, hopefully that won't damage anything. So now on this, let's just have a look. So that has to go when that goes. So they go together, and this engine fires. Then later we get rid of that. So the engine will go first. Okay, I'm going to save it again, and now I'm going to merge the Proton K, but now the mere base blocks one. So take everything under the airstream there, shift, and just throw that away, and then just use another decoupler, and then put this on there, but edit the fairing. Actually now we've got all of these struts here, but that's okay actually, we can live with those. So then I'll build the fairing just up to the top there, like thusly. And there is our very massive Proton with a Kvant, but it's because of the tug now that it's a bit longer there. Let's just see, is everything still looking as it should? Then we fire that, then we get rid of the fairing there. Actually, yes, it's going to be this first, then that when that goes, then that engine, and so on. Save, and we are now going to launch, comrades. Hopefully this will work out and it will look nice when it's docked to the core module. So let's go to the Boomerang site, and of course we could do this from the main launch pad or the desert launch site. We just will lose some efficiency because we won't be going east, but let's stick with the Boomerang for this, and I will see you there, comrades. Now, of course, it's night here, so we're not going to see very much, but that actually does look very nice, this added length to the Proton. This certainly does not look overscaled or anything. That works nicely. So now, of course, our launch time will be determined by the moment that the orbit is in the correct place. So we're just going to have to fast forward. This will be in daytime, it seems. We don't have to be too strict here because it's not actually on the 90 anyway. Okay, that'll work. That'll do. So this is kind of a northeastern, but we still are very close to the east there. So there we are. F5 this. And comrades, our countdown. And then the launch and docking. 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, we were deviating too far from prograde. Revert, but I won't do the countdown again. Simulations, comrades, this was just a test. Comrades, we are in low orbit now, 71 by 71. Things went very well. I think the low orbit is best because we still have to catch up now to the station itself. So in this case we are gonna get rid of the upper stage of the Proton here. We don't need it anymore. We still have over 3 kilometers of delta V, so really we're not gonna suffer for it. So let's get rid of it and hope that we can deorbit it then. So there is our tug and Kvant. So let's just extend the solar panels and switch back. Now we do have control here, so that's a good thing. So turn back. Of course we have the instrument unit with its full wheel authority here. Maybe too much there, but okay, I can turn that down in the future. So time to deorbit this very gently, of course, just beneath there, 20 kilometers. Switch back. That's it. No space debris. That's our new motto. Now in this case it will take a while to catch up, so I'll just speed up again. Okay, 300 meters in just over 100 seconds. So I think that will be very good. Of course, our old space debris is still there. I haven't removed it yet. Now we just have to keep everything in order here, under control. So 36 meters per second, that's not bad at all. And it turns out we don't need 2.7 kilometers per second of delta V, but it's always better to have a lot of extra. So let's just keep tweaking this. 0.2 kilometers, 0.1. Don't want to go closer than that, I think. Let's speed it up. And almost there. Still need enough time to slow down. That's of course the lesson of that other video of mine. Okay, and turn to retro please. We need a lot to slow down here. 20, let's leave it at 15. Do not want a collision today or ever. So yes, of course there's the Soyuz still attached, as you'll see in a moment. I just wanted to do that to see what it would look like docked to the Mir. So we'll just have to get everyone on board, reverse it, or just re-enter it, I don't know, then attach the Kvant here. 15, I suppose we can slow down. We're more or less on the right angle here. 200 meters. I think we'd have an impact if I did nothing, but I have to slow us down. Okay, now we're going the other way, so just reverse that. 0, 0. Of course we're in a higher orbit still, so it will drift over time. But F5, and that's it, comrades, we are here. Now, just V again, free camera. So there is our Soyuz attached. So let's get the crew back here. They've been here a few days now, I think. So transfer. Just start with Jeb, I guess. Back into the descent module, and then the rest of the crew as well. They were having a look at the station to see, you know, what can it really do. So it was a very good trip. Now, I think let's just undock. Switch to it and just reverse. Not gonna worry too much about this craft now. The real focus is docking the Kvant now. Now, unfortunately, the station is on an angle, so let's spin it. Just put it on the anti-normal and then roll it. Just to make it easier, because the up must still be in line with this panel here. Okay, almost. Just hold that, please. Okay, we can just fast forward a little. Then go back here. Of course, it will turn now as we move across the planet. But I think let's not fast forward, take this thing forward now. And gently go in here. So actually we're the wrong way around. Wait, we're going further away. No. Hold on. That's the thing now, it's the wrong way. That's more like it. Okay, SA is back on. Stick to the target, please. Hopefully this won't give us too much trouble, but I'll use this docking radar thing here anyway, specifically to see the angular alignment there. So in this case we want to go beneath it and see what we can see. So that's the angle that we want, in line with this axis here. As close as we can, I think. F5 again. Just extend all of the antennas now. Fast forward a little. Careful. Okay, we need to go down, so that's K. I have to now make sure not to lose control here. Let's just slow down a bit. So let's try another view. Locked is best, I think. Just get back to the right. More down. This stuff is... there's too much to keep in mind here. I tend to do it visually. Pardon me if I'm a bit quiet now. It's all the concentration. Come on, don't mess this up, please. Okay, this is not bad. We're kind of close here. I just need us to get that roll right. That's the most important thing for me. And that's also the hardest one to do properly. So the thing doesn't attach at an angle. So now let's play around with these things here. I need to move I control the yellow one, I think. So I want to move the orange one to the middle of the cross. Is that right? What's the green one? Okay, it's traveling there. Ooh. Just get them all aligned. That's basically the name of the game here. Okay, not bad, not bad. Of course it swings around. Okay, that's pretty much perfect there. Ooh, good grief. I'm seeing stars and it's not because I'm in space. Okay, it's just gonna have to handle itself from here on in. I'll just need to slow down to about 0.2. I'm still happy with the angle. Might roll it a little. Okay, just do the fine controls, please. Okay, please, 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 please. F5. More this way. We're drifting a little. Okay, it's gonna happen. Bang, it's done. And am I happy with it? I think I'm very happy with it. F5. We're here, comrades. We can breathe easy again. Okay, just go back to V again. The free camera is still base for me. Okay, it was the free camera. Now we can keep this attached, but we still have a crew drifting around here in space somewhere. So probably let's get rid of it now. Just detach. Bang. go on. Okay, but it's also going to activate the engines now. Okay, there it goes. It shouldn't have changed our orbit there, and we can extend the antenna. And our Kvant is in place, comrades. I know that little ring there looks a bit weird, but we still are going to attach the panel there with a big arm of girders. But now I just want to get rid of this while we can. Of course, it has its own power source and everything, so this is really a great tug. I think we'll just use it for the rest of the modules as well. Maybe with some slight changes depending on the mass of the thing. But this can now go home, so let's see. Turn it up and just drop it to about 30 or so. Don't want to get too far away, that will do, and switch back and we can forget about it. So F5 again. Now I think because it's night, let's wait a little bit. We just don't want to be drifting away from our target, so I'll just put that as our target, and we're 0, 0, more or less on the same level, so we shouldn't drift too far. Okay, it's coming up now above us, so I have to slow us down. And I have to say, someone also commented it's very difficult to dock this Soyuz because of where the ports are located. And I certainly don't disagree. I tweaked these though. I just put the thrust limiter on the front ones a little bit higher. And it's possible. It definitely is possible. But it would be easier to just put the quad thrusters on and dock with those. But now we just need to get back to our target. Of course, we don't have advanced docking computers on here yet. Probe cores and all that. Lock to target and everything. That's an upgrade I'll make for us in the future. So let's now just do this manually as we do. And just dock there. The crew is very eager to test out their new telescope and equipment and all of that. I do love the lighting in this pod. It's very classic retro feel. Okay, we're drifting very far, so we'll swap it the other way. Now, at this point, this is going to be all messed up, so I won't even bother looking at it. Just need to get us in generally the right place. Okay, stop there and F5 again. You can never F5 too much. And move the prograde to our direction of pointing here, and just slow down as we get to our position. Now wait a minute, which way is up? This is the other problem, not knowing which way is up and which way is down. Okay, we need to slow down now. Okay, this will have to do. Now, of course, it's going to wobble and do all of its crazy things. And we don't have any reaction wheels on here, so let's roll. Roughly again and move us this way. It would be nice to get this one right. And pointing in the correct direction, more or less. I see we're slightly off our roll axis again. That's always the thing that's almost impossible to judge visually. Now let's move us forward and roughly towards the target, and we'll see what we can do. If it's not a good dock, it doesn't matter because we'll undock anyway at some point again, but we can keep this dock there for a while because that port is a dedicated one for this purpose. So I'll just use this again. The yellow I think drags the orange one. Oh well, chase again will probably be easiest, or locked, even though our lock axis is actually rotated by 45 degrees. It should be this way. Then, what now? What now? We're drifting like crazy, so that was not the right thing to do. We still can do it. How much do we have? Still a lot of monopropellant. Just F5 again. So now bring this down, I think. Still going, still going. Okay, we're drifting a bit too far now. Just go, keep it on fine controls. Okay, we're almost there. It's going to happen fairly soon, hopefully. Off. Do your thing. Come on, don't kick us away, please. Bang. Okay, we're docked. A little off angle, but okay. This Soyuz is still due for some upgrades, and that will make it a bit easier. I think including a probe core with a little bit of reaction power will help us, just again for the practical sake. But there we are, comrades. So our station has its first real crew now, and of course the first real module as well. So these engines now, of course, we never ever want to activate because they'll blow up the Kvant here. Let's just move back to our anti-normal position just for the sake of it, and we're not on this weird angle. And then I'm sure Bob, the scientist, is very eager to test out the equipment in the new module. So now the control is much easier because of that added reaction wheel. Or gyrodyne. Alright, that'll do. So, crew, are you ready? So we'll start again with, let's start with Bob. Transfer the crew. Take him to the new module, and then the rest, I suppose, also. They don't want to sit in the tiny descent module the whole time, so they'll go into the living area of the core block there. Transfer crew, and that is that. Surely a very nice view here. I see we have a bit of flashing on those docking ports because they're so close to the edge of the node there of the block, so the skin is like clipping in there. But after all, we're going to be docking stuff there, so we won't even see that. But now let's have a look inside here. So there's of course the main part of the core module, and there is, oh, so we can't even see here. That's a pity. And we're flipping away from our thing. It's because we're in the view here, so it's taking the part that we're controlling from as a different one, so the whole station is flipping over. Well, if we do this, we can see outside. Just double click on the window, so that's at least salvaged us a little bit there. I suppose it's a little too close to the skin of the craft, so from this angle it's actually in between us and the window, so we can't see the window. But like this we can. So there we are. We're wobbling terribly. Let's just have a look outside. What's going on there? Jeb, what are you doing? Now we're flipping over to the other side again. Hey, let's just lock to the normal now and then put it on stability assist. Still difficult to control. It's a very big object with lots of dangling parts here. Take that for what you will, but so it's still slightly a challenge, but then lock it. Now it doesn't matter where we are, it's not going to change. So yes, we still do have a nice view here, comrades. We can still look out the window, and so yes, that's something maybe you can keep in mind if you don't want this issue now. You can probably move the crew thing here, the lander can, out slightly more, but then it's going to look really ugly. So even this is a deviation from the real thing, but I like this deviation. So I'm always willing to change things where I think they'll look a bit better in the Kerbal context. But yes, so let's look at the internal there. We can see a clear view, but it is very clear because the outside shell of the tanks here sit in between our point of view and the window. That's why it's blocking it there. But if we double click, then our point of view is closer to the window than the wall, and that's why we can see. So comrades, with that said, a long episode again, but a very fun one, and I'm very, very happy with how this is shaping up. So I hope to see you next time, comrades. And there's Tahiti in the bottom there. I call it Kahiti, of course, with a Kerbal naming convention of adding a K to everything. We should pay a visit to Kahiti one day. It's in here in this ocean where the crater is on the one side. It's this island in the middle of the ocean, all on its own. I've taken the Kerbals there several times when they need a holiday from all their hard work, and it always has this feeling of being far away in the Pacific. So a very nice holiday destination right there, Kahiti. Anyway, with that said, have a fantastic day, comrades, and thank you as always for watching.